It's my pleasure and honor to introduce our guest speaker, Gene Seroka. As you know, Gene is the Executive Director of the Port of Los Angeles and brings more than 28 years of experience in shipping, global logistics, and executive management. He's held a number of key overseas positions for American President Lines. He returned to the United States in 2010 to become President of Americas for APL, working out of Phoenix. Gene joined APL in 1988. He's got a MBA and Bachelor's of Science in Marketing from the University of New Orleans. And over the years, he's held a number of positions in countries such as, in cities, Shanghai, Jakarta, Singapore, and Dubai. He's been Executive Director of the Port since June of 2014. And as Executive Director, Gene is responsible for managing over a $1 billion budget, advancing major capital projects, growing trade volumes, and his duties involve interacting with a wide range of stakeholders, including port customers around the globe, industry partners, elected and appointed officials, harbor area residents, and business leaders. If you would all please welcome Mr. Gene Seroka.
All right, man. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Appreciate the great introduction. Good afternoon, and thank everyone for attending again this year. I want to send my sincerest thanks to the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association. And John is right that Michelle and I conjured up this idea to see what we could do to give back to our community. And what better way to do this than with ITEP and the Seafarers. Thank you both very much for all the interest you've created in our community. It's especially gratifying that the proceeds for this event will go to those two fine organizations right here in our harbor enclave. And the ability for us to continue to give back to our community is of great importance to all of us at the Harbor Department. It is great to see so many friends here, so many people that I've worked with for a number of decades now. And the work that we're doing here at the port really makes it that much more gratifying that you can do this business with friends. The engagement that the port has seen with all of you has been instrumental in moving the needle in many areas and achieving in some of the major milestones that I'll talk about here this afternoon. But to that end, 2017 really exemplifies what we've done with the port's progress through partnerships. And that means all of you. I say that because nearly every achievement that we will talk about here this afternoon was made possible through that great collaborative spirit that we have at all levels in the stakeholder groups that we work with today. Together, we've accomplished a great deal this past year, and we're going to take a look right now at a few highlights.
Instead of running on diesel power while at berth, AMP-equipped ships plug into the power grid, virtually eliminating ship emissions.
The fuel cell technology can make the society as a true zero-emissions powertrain for the future.
The CAP will provide a roadmap to get us to our ultimate goal of zero emissions here in our joint ports.
In our 12-month period, ending June 30th of this year, we handled our 9 millionth TU here at the Port of Los Angeles, and it was done here on this Evergreen vessel.
2017 was an exciting year for us in the Environmental Management Division. Cargo went up and emissions went down at the same time, and that's really hard to do.
Project labor agreements are a highly effective way for us to channel good paying, local job opportunities into large-scale infrastructure projects.
While still in its pilot phase, the GE Transportation Port of Los Angeles Port Optimizer won its first two awards. The 2017 Outstanding IT Project Award from the City of LA and the AEPA's Information Technology Award.
APM Terminals at Pier 400 was able to utilize their newly raised cranes to efficiently handle the 13,000 TEU Maersk Evora.
This realignment of Harbor Boulevard literally changes the landscape of our waterfront. It will provide a wonderful gateway into our future San Pedro public market.
The 2017 Clean Air Action Plan update. All in favor? Aye.
No opposed. Motion passes unanimously.
From this site, we can change the world.
We can help make the future. That's what Alta Sea is about.
And I think it's very appropriate here in Tinseltown to give a great round of applause to our graphics department and others, studio quality production right here at the Harbor Department. It was a year of milestones for us at the Port of Los Angeles in the three main areas that we focus: business, community, and environment. And on the business front, which encompasses our cargo and commercial side of the Los Angeles waterfront, we had another record-setting year with container volumes. In 2017, the Port of Los Angeles moved more than 9.3 million 20-foot equivalent units, which broke our own record set just last year for the largest amount of cargo moved in the history of the Western Hemisphere. In addition, as you all know, these numbers are unprecedented right here in our hometown of LA. In fact, the greatest volume that was ever handled happened just after we set the standard last year. The number is especially impressive to all of us when we take into consideration that our ships coming to Los Angeles handle more containers per ship call than any other port in the world. And over 80% of each ship is discharged and loaded right here on our docks. And that speaks volumes to how we manage our cargo and the importance that we play in our supply chain. And these ships keep getting larger. Our customers continue to push the envelope in terms of testing methods with us on how better we can handle the business and how much we can move forward within our participation of the overall flow of cargo. In fact, in the video you saw that between October 17th and 22nd, our ILW longshore workforce and our flagship terminal, APMT, discharged and loaded 24,848 TEUs on the Maersk Evora, setting an all-time record for container moves on one ship call. Then in November, we moved 924,000 TEUs as a port, which also was the single largest movement of cargo for 1 month of a Western Hemisphere port. So we're doing it on all levels. Our customers, labor, supply chain partners have been able to handle extraordinary surges, not only in cargo volume, but changes in our industry. And we have spent collectively the last 36 months collaborating in unprecedented ways to find different ideas and how to fashion the product that we put out there for our customers and our supply chain stakeholders, making sure that we adapt to the ever-changing dynamics in our industry. And they, our stakeholders, our customers, have done an outstanding job coordinating among each other and making sure that work with carriers, berth availability, labor, and assets are in place to keep our boxes moving. And I think on a personal note, the most satisfying of all when it comes to these numbers and that record-setting volume is that we did it without one major service failure. We attack the issues every day, we make sure that we're doing our best for our customers, and we do it as smoothly as we can with this enterprise. Ongoing capital improvements are also important, terminal upgrades, and we're paving the way for the newer services of ultra-large container vessels that will routinely continue to call at our port. Facility and infrastructure projects supporting our #1 line of business include the completion of a $127 million modernization project at Houston Terminals, which includes port-funded dredging, berth backland improvements, expansion of the on-dock rail yard, in addition to $60 million of investment by YTI. A similar project will take place at Everport Terminals, which will include wharf upgrades and planning for wharf and crane improvements. At Yangming, we'll also be doing some work in a similar vein to make sure that our terminals and our key facilities are all capable of handling the larger ships. In addition, one of our signature projects will be the 80-acre former LAXT site, which will now be called the Harbor Performance Enhancement Center, which will have the ability to create new modes of cargo movement and enhance the flow to our consumers, as well as from our manufacturers and agricultural sites alike, all with an emphasis on increasing efficiencies here. And in my view, that particular site will increase the capacity at the Port of Los Angeles between 10 and 30% in and of itself. And with these and other projects in the works, and more than $2.6 billion in capital investments on the way, there is no other port in the Western Hemisphere that is more committed, invested, or positioned to succeed in cargo efficiencies and throughput. Our infrastructure investments also now go beyond traditional bricks and mortar. For example, we continue to build out our cybersecurity infrastructure, and we are actively engaged in a national conversation about a comprehensive supply chain and resiliency concept that, again, will be the first for our industry. Expanding what we are already known for here with the nation's only cybersecurity center, and expanding that fiber ring and moving to a fusion center will also be cutting-edge entries into a marketplace on behalf of this port. And many of you are also aware we're focused on the rollout of an exciting new digital supply chain solution in partnership with General Electric Transportation. The Port Optimizer digital cargo portal will give cargo owners and service providers alike an unprecedented line of sight so they can effectively manage cargo in ways that had not been seen before. And whether you're managing your own business or thousands of containers for your customers, you'll have an opportunity to do that right here in LA. The Port of Los Angeles will be the first to benefit from the Port Optimizer, and GE plans to have this system in its future version available to ports everywhere by midsummer. We are also continuing our work with the Hamburg Port Authority, which has created a new network called Chainport, encompassing 10 major ports around the world, whose participants are focused on developing best practices and leveraging technology to make sure that operational strategies are in place to better maximize cargo efficiencies and the flow of goods from the larger container ships. But more importantly, connecting the nodes and modes of the supply chain to make sure more through and consistent cargo flow. We also signed for the first time a memorandum of understanding this past fall right here in the state of California with the County of Merced to expand our reach to one of the most productive agricultural regions in the world. The Mid-California International Trade District will create channels of collaboration and trade between California's Central Valley and our gateway. These collaborations are all about making change happen, creating progress through partnerships to ensure that our port remains agile and ready to meet the ever-changing challenges that we see in global trade. In terms of our other important lines of business, the level and frequency of change continues to evolve at a rapid pace. Driven in part by the national economic growth and consumer confidence, vehicle shipments were up about 19% in 2017, followed by scrap metal and its rebound by about 13% growth. We're still tabulating final numbers for steel slab imports and winter fruit shipments, but those markets were healthy as well. In liquid bulk, volumes were up nearly 5.5% over 2016, even as local refineries made necessary adjustments for maintenance and upgrades. In terms of our cruise business last year, we saw only 8 fewer ship calls, but we are seeing more small, upscale vessels call our port. In addition, with the cascading of larger vessels coming out of the Caribbean, over the next 18 months we'll see a strong uptick in passenger volume and impact right here in our harbor enclave. And remember, with our cruise ships, for every call, it means about $1 million in GDP to our local economy here in San Pedro, Wilmington, Harbor City, and Harbor Gateway. The work that we're doing in other areas is also important to report at this time. A solid year for visitor-serving customers and local businesses was a key highlight to what we had accomplished. We welcomed more than 3 million visitors to the LA waterfront. About 2 million of those visitors were at our customers of core segments in retail, dining, and harbor cruise. That segment has grown annually for the past 5 years. And thanks in good part to the San Pedro Fish Market, which is California's largest restaurant by serving. Also included in more than 3 million visitors are about 400,000 that came and saw the Battleship Iowa, guests right here at this DoubleTree Hotel, and hundreds of thousands who visited Crafted, Brewery West, the LA Maritime Museum, and Cabrillo Marine Aquarium, even those who sailed on Catalina Express. Of all these attractions and our thriving waterfront, it continues to show that our visitor-serving and business community is tied together at the hip. And they are promoting the LA waterfront like never before. And we greatly appreciate all the work in this area. So whether your customers are history buffs, ocean explorers, art lovers, or foodies, there's something here for you, and we're working on a wide array of opportunities for a one-of-a-kind destination where visitors of all ages can play, dine, and shop along with exploring this great and historic waterfront. Shifting to Alta Sea, as you saw in the opening video, we also had a landmark year in 2017, positioning their product for a different future and putting a path on the Lacrette's Blue Economy Incubator, which will be set to move forward later this year. Alta Sea will connect with support and promising startups and businesses in the blue economy. Its tenant mix will also provide unique opportunity and positioning as our waterfront to be an innovation hub, ocean research, and technological advancement that will create high-paying jobs and significant economic activity here locally and across the region. I assure you that there are a lot more exciting announcements to come for Alta Sea in 2018, along with our other LA waterfront partners, in so much as we plan to hold one of our first town halls focused solely on the LA waterfront. That'll happen probably next month, and we'll give everyone advance notice to come out and support our efforts. But more importantly, to hear from our private sector partners and others about the great progress that's taking place now and that which will be before us in the not too distant future. And I'll make sure that everyone is alerted once we have the date confirmed. I also want to thank everyone in the room for playing such a large part in bringing people here to our waterfront, including our biggest booster from the 15th District of the Los Angeles City Council, Joe Buscaino. We thank you for all your support. And it wasn't so long ago that former U.S. Congress member, current Los Angeles County Supervisor, held that very same seat and continues to campaign for everything we do. Janice, thank you for everything you do for us. And now I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about the environment. For starters, what's truly remarkable about the record container volume that we achieved last year was that we achieved it not only last year, but the year before that, and with the volume increases in activities, we also saw a sizable decrease in air emissions. The fact demonstrates that economic growth and environmental stewardship don't need to be mutually exclusive, and in fact, they should not be. When Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia announced the goals this past June, they declared a commitment to aggressively advancing the commercial availability of clean technology over the next 17 years, and making our complex a world leader in both the development and the deployment of near-zero and zero-emissions technology. The 2017 San Pedro Bay Clean Air Action Plan update is the blueprint for doing just that. Admittedly, it is a tall order, and we have a lot of heavy lifting to come down line. But to that end, I want to stress to all of you that the Clean Air Action Plan process is, has been, and will continue to be in consultation with all of you, our partners and our stakeholders. In addition, our collaborative partnership with the South Coast Air Quality Management District and the California Air Resources Board will be essential to seeing this come through. The Clean Air Action Plan, or CAP as we all know it, want to make sure that we have the best and brightest involved, as well as those state and federal funds that will bring aspirational technology to reality. And that next generation of heavy-duty truck or cargo handling equipment, something that we can work on here together. But it will take a lot of effort from all of us. We will also continue to be a leading test lab for new and emerging technologies and assume the very large responsibility of being a market maker, a role in helping create demand here and elsewhere for next-generation port technology. As part of that process, and in lockstep with our mayors, we will be exploring the creation of a Green Ports Collaborative with other port cities around the nation and the world. And that idea is simply to get next-generation equipment on the ground, test it, and make sure that we, the experts in the industry, have a say in how that will go to commercial marketplaces. We'll be counting on both our private and public sector partners to help us secure that financial support that will be necessary for getting this movement going in a very sequential fashion. Personally, I've spent an inordinate amount of time with OEMs and tiered suppliers alike to show them the interest that we have here, but it's working together on the ground that'll help make that progress happen. There are still many details to sort out in the months and years ahead, but the reality is that we live and do business in a region with extraordinary air quality challenges. And we know that our record of success here in the San Pedro Bay brings with it the expectation of continued progress. But my commitment to you is very simple, that we will move this plan forward in a fashion that continues to balance environmental stewardship with our competitiveness as the nation's #1 gateway. I am also very confident in the team we have, the expertise that we've aligned, and the leadership that has been exhibited to support the deployment of this new technology. And make it fact that we will continue to work in solid efforts together as we move into these years coming down line. I strongly believe that the timing and technology are in our favor. For years, a lot of us have known that the issues and challenges relative to the supply chain and the port-related environmental issues have been very difficult in and of themselves. But the first time we have in front of us is widespread sense that solutions are within reach, and we will continue to exhibit that leadership. In the past 24 months, our team and I have visited with customers, stakeholders, and policymakers around the world. And we've had many conversations about the state of the logistics supply chain and global trade. Everywhere we go, people are eager to hear about what's happening right here in Los Angeles. And from all that I have seen, I believe that our foothold in this area of ultra-efficient and sustainable cargo operations is stronger and more focused than ever before. As we continue to break records on the business side and lead the industry in the environmental arena, we are also focused on our commitment to this great community. We are especially focused on job creation and the development of human capital. At this lunch last year, I spoke about our plan to create a workforce training and development center. Our vision for that center is that it would introduce new workers into our industry, address skill shortages, and provide opportunities for both upskilling and reskilling of our current workforce. And that, we hope, will continue to help us shift in transitioning along with the changes in our cargo industry. In April of this past year, the Port of Los Angeles received a $500,000 High Road Training Partnership grant that gave us the impetus to create a new position here at the port. I would like all of you to meet Aveen Sharma, our new Director of Labor Relations and Workforce Development. Aveen? Aveen is developing this workforce training center concept along with others in consultation with our labor leaders, the Office of Mayor Eric Garcetti, the Los Angeles Economic Development Department, along with numerous federal and state entities. In the year ahead, Aveen will also lead a comprehensive assessment of a sector workforce training need that includes all of our supply chain entities. This is a timely effort because in today's often divisive political environment, there are few issues that are more unifying than job creation. And that's a message that all of us must continue to drive home with stakeholders and policymakers at the federal, state, and local levels. 60% of all U.S.-bound imports feed American manufacturers, which in turn creates jobs, and many of them. Right now in Washington, the goal of growing American jobs is a laudable one. But in actuality, it should not be at the deference to international trade. The impulse to protect these jobs by reducing trade is a dangerous one, and that which may have significant impact on our domestic manufacturing sector. So once again, it's incumbent upon all of us to educate others, work closely, and talk about the benefits of globalized supply chains and what world trade brings to our economy right here at home. Promotion of jobs created by the San Pedro Bay ports is one of the main reasons that we created the video series 1 in 9 Jobs. The short YouTube-based videos showcase the variety of professionals who work right here connected directly to the Port of Los Angeles. And for those of you who don't remember, 1 in 9 jobs are tied to this port complex in Southern California. More than 1 million folks go to work every day with jobs related to our port complex. And that is a responsibility that we gratefully take on. And here's a little clip of some of the great men and women who make this port work.
This series gives viewers a better idea about the scope of employment and the impact the port has well beyond Los Angeles.
I've been with Princess Cruises almost 30 years. The amount of people that come through on cruise ships, it really is the heartbeat of the West Coast.
I work for the #1 tug and barge company in the busiest port in the United States. Harley Marine's a great organization to work for. In the Port of Los Angeles, we have nearly 100 employees. It's always growing, which is a nice thing.
American Furniture Manufacturer would have 65 employees in California altogether. Internationally, in Indonesia and in China, where we also have factories, those combined can range up to the thousands.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection processes over 3,500 vessels annually and over 1 million passengers and crews annually.
The Environmental Management Division was founded in the 70s. We were the first environmental management division in the city of Los Angeles. We now support 20 full-time staff members and an additional 30 contracted employees.
My first priority is to make sure that we've got the right team in place to service our 257 stores, and then have the right training and resources to be able to be successful.
This ship takes 36 to 40,000 gross tons of recycled products, scrap metal. We're using our brand new crane, which is hybrid, electric powered, and goes to different part of the world, depends about the market.
Some of the mechanical jobs that we perform daily are anywhere from changing out an injector to a water pump or even an oil cooler.
99% of our clients are longshoremen, then the other 1% is everybody else.
When I was 18 years old, after graduating high school, I followed my grandfather to learn herbal medicine and acupuncture.
We have staff that's been here for over 30 years, and now we've gone from the garage to global, doing projects all over the world.
Isn't that something? With local jobs at the top of our priority list, last fall, the Board of Harbor Commissioners approved a 10-year project labor agreement that calls for nearly 1/3 of all construction jobs to be generated by the port for capital projects that will go to harbor area residents and people in high unemployment areas within the city of LA. How about that? These are the benefits that our port and our port partners bring together to the table. It's these benefits that policymakers need to hear about when we talk about our port and the wider reach and catchment area that we all have a part in. We're also contributing to our community in other ways and have demonstrated that once again this past year. For example, we're channeling more funds to visitor serving and waterfront access infrastructure through the Public Access Investment Plan started right here at the Port of Los Angeles. When we created this plan in early 2015, our original intent was to align investment with waterfront access projects, port operating revenue, to ensure a transparent, predictable, and sustainable long-term funding mechanism for ongoing cargo, environmental, and community investments. Today, I am so pleased to report that our cargo volumes were up, which means the dollars went in the same direction, and we'll have the ability to communicate and produce more money for the Public Access Investment Plan than ever so far before. There will also be similar funding appropriated as the Public Access Investment Plan calls to make sure that we have operations and maintenance for those projects, as well as the great programmatic activity that so many of us love and enjoy year-round here at the Harbor Enclave. And with that, we will continue to promote all of those activities in a very consultative way. That consultation is to make sure that we're building projects that the community wants, that everyone has a say in what we're doing, but more importantly, that community outreach to make sure that we have the great ideas that are born out of the folks that really want to see this improve. And overall, These projects will continue to show that the initiatives will have the funding necessary because of what this plan has done and the great people at the Harbor Department that have asked for so much consultation along the line. Our annual Port Community Investment Grants Program, for example, will continue to fund local educational and nonprofits like the International Trade and Education Program and the Los Angeles Maritime Institute. These and other port-sponsored organizations, like the Boys and Girls Club of LA Harbor, touch thousands of lives in our communities throughout the year. With additional support from many of you and your organizations, we're broadening the learning horizon for our youth across the region and exposing them to jobs and career opportunities here in the San Pedro Bay Port Complex. In all, this past year, more than 30 local nonprofits benefited from $1 million expended through the Port's Community Investment Grants Program. As recipients of these funds, all organizations you see on the screen right now are making measurable and positive impact right here in our community. Let's give them all a great round of applause. Our public access investment plan is currently funding several major LA waterfront construction projects, all of which are in various stages of design and development. Over the past couple of years, you've seen our waterfront development strategy, and it's followed a three-pronged approach. Develop public access infrastructure, work with stakeholders to activate our waterfront, and in doing so, attract private sector investment in new visitor-serving businesses. In terms of public access infrastructure projects, this spring we'll be wrapping up the construction on Harbor Boulevard's roadway realignments, which is creating a beautiful thoroughfare which will lead right into the future $150 million San Pedro Public Market commercial development. Yes, come on. It goes by real fast, but once this roadway is completed this spring, we'll begin construction of a nearly mile-long San Pedro Promenade and a new town square at 6th Street, bringing the port's total investment for the San Pedro public market to $53 million. Yes, the closing of Ports of Call Village over the coming months ends a wonderful era in our port's history, but I can assure you that the Ratkovich Company and Jericho Development are working on an exciting commercial development with offerings that will have an across-the-board visitor appeal. We're also finalizing design plans for the Wilmington Waterfront Promenade, Avalon Bridge, and Gateway, which will provide new space and connectivity to the Wilmington waterfront area. Construction will start on also the $53 million Waterfront Promenade in Wilmington later this year in 2018. In addition to the cooperative marketing efforts that I mentioned earlier for the awareness of the LA waterfront, our growing and continuity on expanding the roster of events is also in progress. In the past, the port has been the main driver of many of these events, but in 2017, we saw a new level of activity from our customers and outside event promoters alike. The LA waterfront was host to more than 40 events in 2017. The outstanding variety of these shows last year included the prestigious Porsche Show at Crafted, a two-day Live Nation-produced music festival in the Outer Harbor, and a Jimmy Kimmel Veterans Day concert right on our own USS Iowa. And of course, the success of LA Fleet Week continues to grow, attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors during the week leading up to our Labor Day holiday. These events are illustrative of our progress through partnerships with all of our waterfront customers, stakeholders, and community members in terms of raising the profile of our fast-evolving destination. And we're going to continue this and build on its momentum in 2018. We've recently released a request for proposal focused on attracting an event producer that will bring summer concert series right here to the LA waterfront. And over the next year, we plan to solicit proposals for long-term ground lease opportunities and commercial developments in the Cabrillo Way Marina on the former San Pedro Boatworks property in the Outer Harbor. At our historic Warehouse 1 property will also be in the mix for some lucky tenants that will come our way. These new areas of commercial development will continue to further and expand our footprint of business and visitor activity alike. Again, we'll share more on the details with you at the upcoming LA Waterfront Town Hall that will be announced shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, I covered a lot of ground here today, and very similar to the past two events that we've held in concert with the PMSA, I hope that your takeaway is singular in that what we've shared is the Port of Los Angeles is strong because of that progress through the partnerships that we have together with all of you and those in our community. And the exciting success that we've seen in 2017 across all of our lines of business and throughout our community and environmental endeavors don't just happen by one person. I want to specifically thank our Board of Harbor Commissioners led by the former United States Ambassador to Argentina, Vilma Martinez, for their unwavering support of all that we do. Thank you. And I want to thank this high-performance team that we've assembled, from those who are working in the cargo area to the community, the environmental strategy. This is surely the greatest team that I have ever worked with in my 3 decades in this area. Thank you all very much. And equally as important, the unwavering support and with whose guiding hand none of this would be possible, our Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and his staff, David Rich, who is here today, who continues to put a prime focus on this harbor department and its great people that have made this such a strong brand. Thank you very much. Two years ago, Mayor Garcetti famously said, "A strong port helps a strong community, and a strong community and great, beautiful neighborhood and tourist destination helps that great port." We could not agree more. And to that end, it's an honor for me to tell you that the state of your Port of Los Angeles is stronger and better positioned than ever, and it is a privilege to serve as your executive director. Thank you for all of your business, counsel, and your great partnership that you continue to show our team and me. It is with great privilege that I say that word of thanks. Good afternoon, everyone, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you.